Rugby isn't just a game, it's war without weapons. Every pass, every tackle, every try, steeped in history, pride and fierce rivalry. These aren't just matches, they're battles that shape nations, careers and legacies. From century-old grudges to modern-day clashes, rugby union's fiercest rivalries are more than just games on a fixture list. They're stories of blood, sweat and tries. In this video, we dive into the rivalries that have defined international rugby, the moments that split stadiums, united nations, and left fans breathless. Whether it's Northern grit or Southern Hemisphere fire, welcome to Blood, Sweat and Tries, legendary rugby union rivalries. Let's decode the rivalries that made rugby the game we love.
And how about that for a kick?
Before we dive into the rivalries that shook stadiums and split nations, let's take a step back and ask, what actually makes a rugby rivalry legendary? Because not every close match or test series becomes a rivalry. A true rivalry is something deeper. It's built on history, identity, and most of all, repetition. When two teams meet again and again across decades, and every match feels personal, you're not just watching sport. You're witnessing a saga unfold. Some rivalries are born from politics and power, like South Africa versus New Zealand, forged through apartheid, protest, and mutual dominance. Others come from geography and familiarity. Think of England versus Scotland. Neighbours, rivals, opposites, fighting over pride since 1871. And then there's the element of style clashes. Teams with opposing philosophies, like England's structured game versus France's flair. When those teams collide, the tension isn't just physical, it's cultural. But what truly elevates a rivalry is what's at stake. World Cup knockouts, Grand Slam deciders, Bledisloe Cups. When silverware legacy or national pride is on the line, a match becomes more than just 80 minutes. It becomes history. And let's not forget the role of the fans, you. Generations of supporters carry these rivalries forward. What your parents watched, you now debate in pubs, on group chats, in stadiums. So with that in mind, let's kick off with one of the most intense rivalries in the game. A battle of muscle, manner and legacy. New Zealand versus South Africa. New Zealand versus South Africa. New Zealand versus South Africa isn't just a rugby rivalry, it's a collision of dynasties, the titans of the Southern Hemisphere. Between them, they've won 7 Rugby World Cups. But here's the kicker. South Africa has 4, New Zealand has 3, making the Springboks the most successful World Cup team in history. That alone would make their encounters legendary. But the story runs deeper. During the apartheid era, South Africa was banned from international sport, including rugby, from the mid-1980s until the early 1990s. And yet, even in that absence, the All Blacks considered the Springboks their greatest rivals. Why? Because before the ban, South Africa held a winning record over New Zealand, something no other team could claim at the time. When the rivalry resumed in 1992, it reignited like it had never gone cold. Then came the 1995 Rugby World Cup final, one of the most powerful moments in sporting history. Nelson Mandela wearing a Springbok jersey, handing the trophy to Francois Pienaar. South Africa had just beaten the All Blacks in extra time. It was about more than rugby. It was about reconciliation, identity and unity through sport. Since then, the rivalry has only intensified. From the brutal Tri-Nations clashes to the rebranded Rugby Championship and repeated World Cup knockouts, these two teams never take a step back. Think of the 2013 Ellis Park thriller where New Zealand edged it 38-27, or the 2018 shock in Wellington where South Africa stunned the All Blacks 36-34, ending their 8-year home winning streak. Every encounter is physical, tactical and emotionally charged. There's respect, always, but never comfort. Because for these two teams, beating the other isn't just about points or pride, it's about proving who really rules world rugby. If you want to understand rugby's roots and the rivalries that built the game, you need to go back to where it all began: England versus Scotland. This is the oldest international rugby fixture in history, dating all the way back to March 27th, 1871 in Edinburgh. Scotland won that first match, and over 150 years later, they're still reminding England about it. This rivalry is known today as the Battle for the Calcutta Cup, a trophy first contested in 1879 and made from melted down silver rupees. But it's never just been about the silverware. For Scotland, it's about standing toe-to-toe with their larger, wealthier southern neighbour, the birthplace of rugby, yes, but also a former colonial power. For England, it's about avoiding humiliation at the hands of a side that often punches well above its weight. Over the decades, England have held the upper hand, winning the Calcutta Cup 71 times. Scotland have won it 43 times with 16 draws. But the numbers don't tell the full story, especially in recent years. Scotland have become the script flippers. In 1990, they denied England a grand slam in a fiery Murrayfield decider. In 2019, they came back from 31-0 down at Twickenham to draw 38-38, the highest scoring draw in Test rugby history. And in 2021, they beat England at Twickenham for the first time in 38 years. Then they did it again and again. Scotland have now won 4 of the last 5 Calcutta Cup clashes. They're faster, sharper, and they no longer fear the white shirt. And that's the beauty of this rivalry. It's not just about who's better on paper, it's about history, identity, and a fire that burns bright no matter the decade. When England and Scotland meet, the form guide gets thrown out the window, and the past comes roaring back. Few rivalries in world rugby are as enduring or as brutally honest as Australia versus New Zealand. These neighbours share more than just a border across the Tasman Sea. They share history, sporting obsession, and a mutual desire to dominate each other, especially when it comes to the Bledisloe Cup. First contested in 1931, the Bledisloe is one of rugby's most iconic trophies. Named after Lord Bledisloe, a former Governor-General of New Zealand, it has become a symbol of trans-Tasman pride and pain. And let's be honest, in recent decades, the pain has mostly been on the Australian side. As of 2024, New Zealand has won the Bledisloe Cup 52 times, while Australia has won it 12 times. Since 2003, the All Blacks have held the trophy continuously, over 20 years of dominance. Their depth, consistency and killer instinct have made them a nightmare matchup for the Wallabies, no matter the venue. Whether it's Eden Park, the MCG or Suncorp Stadium, the All Blacks have shown up time and time again with precision and power. But don't let that fool you into thinking this is a one-sided rivalry. When Australia wins, it's seismic. Their 2000 victory in Sydney, 39-35, is still widely regarded as one of the greatest Test matches of all time. Sterling Mortlock's intercept try in the 2003 World Cup semi-final, pure theatre. And who could forget 2019 in Perth when the Wallabies stunned the All Blacks 47-26, their biggest ever win against New Zealand? This rivalry runs deeper than trophies. It's cultural. Australia has long been the sporting overachiever, defiant, scrappy, fearless. New Zealand, the rugby purists, disciplined, clinical, almost sacred in their devotion to the game. And it's that contrast in identity, in style, in psyche that makes every Bledisloe battle unmissable. Because even when the All Blacks are favourites, even when history leans heavily their way, the Wallabies always carry one dangerous trait. They believe they can win. And when they do, it rocks the rugby world. When England and France meet on the rugby pitch, it's never just another fixture, it's Le Crunch. The name, coined in the late 1980s, says it all. This isn't just a match, it's a collision of rugby styles, national identities, and decades of shared sporting history. The two nations first met in 1906, and since then they've faced each other well over 100 times across the old 5 nations, the modern 6 nations, and multiple Rugby World Cups. As of 2024, England holds the edge in the head-to-head, but France has delivered some of the most memorable and painful defeats England has ever suffered. This rivalry is often framed as a cultural clash, English structure versus French flair. England traditionally plays a territory-driven, forward-dominant game, while France, at their best, bring unpredictability, off-the-cuff brilliance, and a touch of chaos. That contrast makes for spectacular rugby and some unforgettable moments. Think back to the 1991 World Cup quarter-final, when England against type ran the ball and outplayed France in Paris. Or the 1995 quarter-final, when France returned the favour, dismantling England 19-9 in a bruising performance. Then there's 1999, when Les Bleus stunned everyone by coming back from 24-10, down to beat the All Blacks in the semi-final, only to lose to Australia in the final, a scenario England fans quietly enjoyed. In the Six Nations era, the rivalry has stayed razor-sharp. From Johnny Wilkinson's metronomic boot to Sébastien Chabal's wild intensity, each generation has produced new heroes and villains. And in recent years, France has surged again. Their 2022 Grand Slam, capped by a clinical win over England in Paris, signalled the arrival of a new powerhouse, led by the electric Antoine Dupont. What makes Le Crunch special is that it always feels personal. Whether it's Twickenham or the Stade de France, the atmosphere is thick with pride and pressure. Neither side wants to lose. And when they do, it stings more than usual. Because with these two, it's never just rugby, it's a matter of honour. Steeped in history, charged with emotion and defined by narrow margins, this is Ireland versus England, a rivalry that lives and breathes on the edge. The first test between these two nations was played way back in 1875, and over 143 matches, the all-time record stands with England on 81 wins, Ireland on 54, and 8 draws. That gap signals England's early ascendancy, but in the professional era, the scales have tilted sharply. Since 1995, the rivalry has tightened, with England edging only 19 wins to Ireland's 16. Alongside the historic stats lies another trophy, the Millennium Trophy, introduced in 1988. It symbolises pride and bragging rights in today's Six Nations. England have won it 21 times and Ireland 17 times, with Ireland grabbing the latest edition in 2025. But raw numbers don't tell the full story. This rivalry is as much cultural as it is sporting. It's about colonial legacies, national identity, and fiery encounters on the pitch. Think of the iconic 2007 clash at Croke Park, Ireland's 43-13 win, their biggest ever margin, and deeply symbolic on that GAA turf. Or the modern era's intense chapter, 2018, Ireland's 57-15 demolition of England at Twickenham sealed a historic Grand Slam. The rivalry has seen countless game-defining classics, late tries, brilliant comebacks, and clashes that feel personal, like the 2021 Six Nations where Ireland snatched a dramatic win, or England's own narrow escapes. Because for both teams, beating the other goes beyond ranking points. It's about pride, continental pride, club town pride, and generational pride. When Ireland and England face off, the result often hinges on who wants it more and who can handle the pressure. And make no mistake, whether it's in Dublin or London, there's rarely a dull moment, and always a story waiting to be told. When New Zealand and England step onto the field, it's a study in contrasts. The Southern Hemisphere powerhouse versus the Northern Hemisphere stalwart. It's about tradition, ambition, and a rivalry that few international fixtures match in history or intensity. These two titans have clashed 46 times, with New Zealand winning 36, England triumphing in 8, and 2 matches ending in draws. That gap tells a story. but it doesn't tell everything. There's something magnetic about England standing up to the All Blacks. In the amateur era, England's victories were few and far between, but they made noise when they came. Looking back, there's that legendary Prince Obolensky-inspired 13-0 win at Twickenham in 1936, marking England's first ever victory over the All Blacks. It was one of the great early upsets in international rugby, and it set the tone for a rivalry built on tension and anticipation. Fast forward to the professional era. The rivalry intensified and tightened. England pulled off classic moments, like the 2012 win at Twickenham, when a young English side delivered a commanding 38-21 performance, ending New Zealand's 20-game unbeaten run. And of course, the unforgettable 2019 Rugby World Cup semi-final, where England produced a tactical masterclass to defeat the All Blacks 19-7 in Yokohama. That night, England didn't just beat New Zealand, they outplayed them in every department. For the All Blacks, every match is a mission, carrying the weight of tradition, rugby craftsmanship, and near-mythical expectation. For England, every win against New Zealand is more than punctuation. It's proof that belief, structure, grit, and precision can topple almost any giant. This rivalry is about more than results. It's identity. Northern pragmatism against Southern passion, strategy against instinct, history against destiny. When these teams collide, it's never the rankings or the form book that decide the winner. It's heart and belief. Because even when the odds and the numbers are stacked against them, England has shown that on the biggest stages, they can not only compete, they can conquer.
Famous and deserved victory for England at Twickenham.
Rugby isn't just about the scoreboard. It's about the stories woven into every breathless moment, every hard-earned try, and every anthem that echoes through packed stadiums. And if there's one thing that brings those stories to life, beyond the players, beyond the drama, it's the rivalries. They're not just matches, they're living legacies. The long-standing Calcutta Cup clash between England and Scotland, rooted in the sport's earliest days, is more than history. It's a shared heartbeat between neighbours, steeped in pride and grit and the weight of 150 years. Across the world, rugby's intensity lies in these head-to-heads. New Zealand versus South Africa isn't just a fixture, it's a collision of rugby's mightiest powers, fought in arenas of raw physicality and layered with political and cultural memory. England versus France, with every Le Crunch, is ritualized elegance versus calculated structure, a duel where tactics are as fierce as the tackles and national styles clash in beautiful unpredictability. Ireland versus England brings something deeper still. It's history personified in a rugby jersey, division and aspiration, scars and hope, bound up in a rivalry so electric that match day feels like more than a game. These rivalries pulse on because they connect with us. They aren't just played on the pitch, but passed down in pubs, live on in family legends, in the roar of a crowd at Munster, Murrayfield or Eden Park. They anchor us, defining not just who wins, but what it means to win. We've seen dynasties, collapses, seismic upsets and reinventions. Scotland's recent resurgence over England at Twickenham, Ireland's rise to Grand Slam power, New Zealand's relentless excellence and the Springboks' rise as the most successful World Cup nation. Each shift rewrites the narrative, proving that no rivalry is ever truly settled. Because in rugby nothing is static. Rivalries evolve. Dominance shifts. History is always in the rearview mirror, but the next chapter is always waiting. And that's why we love them. They are the soul of the sport. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, hit subscribe and stick around for more deep dives into the world of rugby. This is Rugby Decoded. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.
3 from 3 so far.